Hey everyone!
Hey y'all!
Welcome to Dream Free with V and C.
What's up, y'all?
Today we're just going to take a few moments to catch you guys up. In one of our previous videos, C gave a little detail about where we are and the process of getting here. And in the last video, you guys did see that we actually purchased a house. So we want to tell you how we got to the state and how we got to the point of purchasing a house and everything in between. So thank you for taking the time to come to this channel. If you have not yet liked and subscribed, please do so.
Please do so.
And enjoy the video.
Absolutely. So, as she mentioned, we will definitely post the links to the Harvest Host that we spent nights at on the way down here. Really cool places, and so might be useful. Might want to check some of those places out. But so once we did get here to Alabama, we had decided on Alabama versus two other options. One of the options was California, the other one was Arizona, and the one in California was actually a paid work camping gig.
It was.
And so as full-time RVers, we had just started getting into work camping, and we had done a couple work camping gigs for that were paid, and some that were really just for being able to just a full hookup. So but this particular one in Alabama that we chose was really just for a hookup. We decided to come to this particular state because it was African American owned, and that was something that we had not experienced yet. It was brand new, and we really just wanted to have that experience. And we knew, because there's not a lot of brown folks out there, well, there's a lot more now than when we first started, but you know, just still, you have to be really, in this climate, be really careful about where you go. And so knowing that we were going to be at an African American owned campground made us feel safe.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the main reasons that we decided to come. Another reason is, so my brother had recently passed at that time, and one of the owners was sick, and one of the reasons they needed someone to come down and help them was so that they could go and make sure that they were getting the treatments for their illness. And out of state, yeah. And so of course, you know, I felt the pull and just wanting to help and wanted to make a difference, you know, and that was another reason that we had decided to go
And choose this place, actually.
Absolutely. Yep. And so when we connected and made the ultimate decision with the owners of the campground, they basically explained what we would be doing. They initially said that basically it's just babysitting. Everything is done through the app. All of the check-ins are done through the app. The only thing that we would have to do basically is let people in and show them their spot. And even if we weren't there, they still, you know, they had the map and instructions on and how to get into their spots. And so it would be basically just watching over the place when they had to go out of state, whether it be for vacation or whether it be for treatments, medical treatments. And so that was cool with us. We talked about the responsibilities at length because we knew that when we came down, because it wasn't a paid gig, that one or both of us would have to get, you know, a real job in order to sustain us. And so we made sure that we were very clear about that, very transparent about that. And we spoke with them. As we spoke with them, they said, hey, that's no problem. Again, they reiterated how easy it would be and how they didn't need someone to be necessarily hands-on, other than, you know, just basic small upkeep of the campground, maybe some mowing, but very, very just light work. The word babysitting came up quite a bit.
It did.
And so they even mentioned that they had some connections in the community where they would actually be able to maybe help us find a job. We talked at length about how, because they were experienced in their backgrounds were made them very experienced with real estate and purchasing the campground, and we had mentioned that that was something that we may be interested in the future. And so, you know, they said, you know, they would take us under their wing, and just kind of go along and eventually maybe become property managers. That came up at one point, and also them not being able to pay us, which was fine, but they said, you know, maybe in a year or two, if things worked out, then it would. So the potential to us was worth coming down to a state that we weren't necessarily comfortable or would necessarily have chosen, especially over beautiful California. And so one of the not super red flags, I would say a pink flag, when we first came down and we had the meeting the second day, just getting, you know, acquainted with them and meeting them in person for the first time. They gave us this long, extensive list of responsibilities
that were not discussed
prior to. And this was, again, once we got here, met them in person. But it was okay. It was reasonable. It wasn't anything crazy. And at the time, at that moment, you know, neither of us had found jobs yet, because again, this was the second day. And so it wasn't, you know, anything crazy, and we, you know, it's like, okay, we agreed, but that was kind of a red flag because it went from one extreme to the other, so to speak. And so that kind of threw us off a little bit. And I apologize, y'all. I've had to take some notes. I'm old. I can't remember everything, but so once we started, we helped people in. We were doing a little basic upkeep. You know, my wife was doing little extra things around the campground, and
it was just fun. It was just fun, nice. And things clean. And I don't know if this was a mistake, but because we were really enjoying ourselves, and they had started having events, and we had started meeting the people and talking with the people, and in our previous experience of work camping, this was totally different. It really was. It was just totally different, and we just felt good about it. I found myself doing things that I wasn't even asked to do. And just, you know, really just kind of relaxing and enjoying it, and like kind of falling into it. And at one of these events, we just having conversation, and she's one of them, was taking us around and just introducing us to people, and introducing us as how did she introduce us?
Oh gosh,
camp hosts. And so anyway, we just noticed that throughout like a day or two, she lied about so many things, things that essentially we were lying about, although we didn't say it because we were a part of the conversation, and we are shocked that she's saying these things. And we were pretty much forced to
That was red flag number 2. And that you know, that whole situation, and just the lying, and us going along to get along was a little, it was very uncomfortable.
It really was.
And so what else happened? So they had a big event that, you know, we were around to help facilitate and get people in there, get people into their spaces, and never had any issues. But this entire time we had been searching for jobs. And my wife got a job, and she started working, and I was looking for employment as she was working, and so I was out and about. I was doing interviews, and next thing you know, we are confronted with, you, if you can't be around more, then this isn't going to work. You know, and not in a, I mean, just those words were the words.
Yeah.
So there was really no nice way to say it, but it was kind of alarming. And, you know, we of course went back to the conversations that we had prior to moving here and saying, hey, you know, we said that we would have to work, you know, and once she got off, or once I got back from an interview or filling out applications or whatever, you know, once we got back into the campground, you know, we were working, we were there, we were available full time pretty much. You know, there would be times where we would get off work, and in the middle of the night we'd have to go get somebody and bring them in, and you know.
Well, I would have to get. I got off work because at this time you weren't employed.
Right, right. But I mean, we were, you know, once either one of us were home, you know, we would definitely still be helping, you know. But it was a problem all of a sudden that we needed to work, and
it just got to the point where they wanted us to be available 24 hours.
Yeah.
If someone came into the campground, because you know how it is, when you're traveling, delays, you could be expected to arrive, because the campground had office hours, and after a certain time, of course, we know that if office closed at 5, if you know there was a reservation or someone that came in, a check-in at 7, 8 o'clock, you know, it happens.
Right.
But there were times that, you know, 11 o'clock, 11:30, and we were expected to be awake, one, two, to be dressed in order to run out and greet a guest and to take that guest to their site. And it was just impossible. There's no way that anyone, they couldn't be available 24 hours a day.
Right.
You know?
And also to piggyback that, she mentioned several times that everything was done on the app, and how to, you know, where your site is, how to park, and that we wouldn't necessarily have to take every single person into, you know, their site, because the sites were huge. And so no one really would have a problem getting in anywhere. We just had to make sure that no one was knocking anything over or you know, tearing anything up. But so bottom line, long story short, we stayed about a month, helped as much as we could, had planned to continue to stay, and next thing you know, on a Wednesday evening, we were told that Friday morning we needed to be gone.
Just like that.
And that they were
just like that.
They were closing the campground.
Yes, they were closing the campground.
And we needed to be gone. And we said, okay, of course, what are you going to do? No conversation prior to, no warning, no, hey, you know, it was just that sudden. And as we mentioned before, the reason that we came to this state
was just for this campground.
Was specifically for this campground. And so we were forced to find a place, A, that was affordable, B, that was safe, clean, and not necessarily, you know, our priorities in those orders. We kind of wanted, you know, safe and clean, and affordable probably would have came last, but it was, we, you know, had not planned to pay for a site.
We had not planned to camp in Alabama.
Camp in Alabama, pay for a site. It was not in the plan, and so we had to find a spot, and we did. luckily they were kind, and even though it was not a very desirable place for us to be, we actually stayed in two places after that, but one of the place immediately after that was affordable, and for the most part it was safe, but it was just not clean or a desirable place. And the place that we went to after that, I guess, was fairly safe but not clean. You know, and it is what it is. It happens, but we were extremely triggered, extremely hurt for a while. I think it took us
It took us a while.
It took us a while.
Because, I mean, so many emotions came up. And
I mean, just because the reasons that we came, like the things that we gave up, the paid gig that we gave up, the reason that we came, wanting to be helpful, wanting to be mentored, wanting that experience, and then, you know, to have it be our own.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you wanted to discuss this part, but even after we left on that Friday, we found out that they lied, that the campground had not been closed down. And I believe that the reason why they lied to us and told us that the campground was going to close was so that way there was no possibility of us staying. They didn't even ask, they didn't even say, which I can understand, hey, your work schedule really isn't working with us. We kind of thought that things would be a little different. So we're going to look into getting other people here to maybe work camp. If you guys want to stay,
because they had long-term options. Like they had one or two people that had their RVs on the lot long-term. So it wasn't like that wasn't an option.
Yeah, I mean, we could have paid because the location, like I said, like she said, we felt safe there. Now, the location was a little far from my work and the work that C later found. However, I don't really think you can put a price on just feeling safe.
Yeah.
You know, and for me at that time, it definitely would have been worth putting extra money and miles in the gas and on the car. You know, and so yeah, when we found out that they flat out lied about that was really, it was hurtful. I mean, it really hurt because we hadn't done anything. We hadn't done anything but what we had discussed and what we had agreed upon. You know, but lesson learned.
Lesson learned. And I don't know exactly how much longer after that, but I don't know, a few months after, we discovered that they sold the campground. And so now it's owned by other people, which pretty positive. You know, that was one of the conversations that we had when they asked us to leave, and we said, you know, what's going on. You know, that was kind of mentioned that they had been thinking about doing that anyway.
And that's it's something from the time that we accepted the position and the time that we were asked to leave, a month and a half that went by. Because we accepted the position less than 3 weeks before we were asked to start. Because the campground that we were at that time, our contract was ending. And so we found this kind of last minute because we like she said, we had found this one as well as two others, and we were debating on whether or not we wanted to go to Arizona and California. So we were trying to hold them off for as long as possible, you know, because we wanted to go both places, you know. And then this one fell on our lap. So yeah, lesson learned.
Yeah, so that's that. And so that's the main reason why we are still here.
Yep. Main reason why we're still here and work.
Yeah.
And you know, the jobs that we found, we
It's a funny thing about life. Once you start, you know, making money, it's hard to fix yourself to say, okay, well, you know, let's try to go to a different state, or let's move. And I mean, you know, the RV was just not where we wanted to be anymore.
You know, I was telling you about it. When we were moving around, we were work camping, and although we were full-time work camping, I don't think mentally it felt like this is our home. We have nowhere else to reside. Mm-hmm. This is just it. But when the thing happened with that work camping gig, and it put us in a place where this is all we have, mm-hmm. you know, and we didn't have anything else lined up.
And life started lifing.
I tell you that our travel trailer really got small. It really got small. And I don't know if we have discussed it. Well, we, in our previous videos, you knew that we had 2 dogs. We had gotten Coco. Mm-hmm. And so we had 2 Doxies. We're sitting full time, trying to save money. And the walls started caving in on us. And we really got to a place where we were saying, okay, so it's either we're going to get a bigger camper, we're going to rent a place, or something else.
Right.
You know?
And we'll talk about it in our next video,
mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, we looked at so many houses to rent.
Yeah.
I mean, so many houses. And at the end of the day, the numbers just were so much better for us financially to actually purchase the home and mm-hmm. stay where we had been, where we ultimately ended up. I don't know.
Oh, right. We
haven't even gotten into that. So much has happened, y'all. I mean, mm-hmm. so much has happened. But after the two places that we stayed after the triggering moment, we found a really good place.
A nice location.
Yeah.
That was 5 minutes from work.
Yeah. And you know, 5 minutes from everything. Mm-hmm. And so I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah, it was 5 minutes from everything. And we were allowed to come here mm-hmm. in our RV. We were allowed to stay. It was super quiet, private. We felt safe. And like I said, we were close to work.
Financially, it was cheaper
mm-hmm.
by a lot
than
renting a house.
Yeah, it was.
We had to, you know, give up some sacrifices, like not necessarily having a garage mm-hmm. and not having a fenced-in backyard, which is what we really were looking for when we were looking to rent. Never considered buying a house. Never thought, not here anyway.
Right.
In Alabama, we were just trying to figure out the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll definitely talk about the way that we went in the next video. You do have some things that happen, but for the most part, it gets a little crazier. But y'all know us. We this is what we do. This is our life. But we're graced to still be here. We are very, 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 very graced and blessed and grateful for what we have, and we have definitely made some lemonade out of the lemons.
Out of the lemons, yeah.
And we will definitely talk about it.
Yeah. Next time. Thank you so much for sticking in there with this video. I know it was a lot and a lot of information. And if you have not yet subscribed and liked this video, please do so.
And the channel.
Share it. And we'll see you next time.
For sure.
Take care.